Feeling overwhelmed by life's daily chaos? What if you could face any challenge with unshakable calm and inner strength? This video isn't just about ancient philosophy, it's about practical daily habits that will transform your resilience starting today. What if I told you that the greatest power you could ever hold isn't control over the world, but control over yourself? We live in an age of noise. Our minds are flooded with information, comparison, and expectation. We wake up to chaos, chase success, fear failure, and call it life. We are connected to everyone, yet disconnected from ourselves. We scroll through endless feeds looking for meaning, validation, peace. But deep down, we feel fragile. Like a single gust of misfortune could knock it all down. We tell ourselves we're strong, but one rejection, one mistake, one loss, and we crumble. Why? Because we've built our strength on what the world gives us, not on what we give ourselves. But there was once a philosophy that taught people to stand firm, no matter how wild the storm became. A way of living so practical, so timeless, that it could turn pain into power, chaos into clarity, and suffering into strength. That philosophy is Stoicism. 2,000 years ago, when empires fell and lives shattered overnight, men and women discovered something extraordinary: that true resilience doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from mastering the self. Marcus Aurelius, a ruler who bore the weight of the Roman Empire, found peace in chaos. Epictetus, a slave in chains, found freedom within his own mind. Seneca, surrounded by wealth, politics, and betrayal, found calm through wisdom. They weren't superhuman. They simply lived by habits, quiet, daily disciplines that shaped unbreakable minds. Today, their world is gone, but their wisdom remains. And if you learn to live as they did, you won't just survive life's chaos. You'll grow stronger because of it. So if you've ever wondered how to face loss without losing yourself, how to stay calm in conflict, how to rise each time the world knocks you down, this journey is for you. Because resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Habit by habit, choice by choice, moment by moment, this is the art of Stoic living. This is how to build unshakable resilience in a fragile world. Every storm begins quietly. A few clouds gather, the air grows heavy, and then before you know it, the sky opens, and everything you thought was secure begins to shake. That storm, it's not just in the sky. It lives within us. It's the chaos of our own emotions, the restless tide of our thoughts, the constant tug of war between who we are and who we think we should be. But here's what the Stoics discovered. You cannot calm the storm. You can only calm yourself, and once you do, the storm no longer controls you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just a sentence. It's a philosophy for life. The world is chaos. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. Fate will take what you love without asking permission. But if your peace depends on the world behaving the way you want, you'll never know peace at all. The Stoic path begins here, not by trying to fix everything around you, but by mastering the storm within. The first lesson of resilience is control, and the first habit of control is distinguishing what you can control from what you cannot. Epictetus said it plainly. Some things are within our control, others are not. Within our control, our thoughts, our actions, our values, outside our control, everything else. The weather, the past, the opinions of others, the outcomes of events. Every ounce of anxiety comes from confusing the two. We spend our days wrestling with the uncontrollable instead of strengthening what is truly ours, our mind. When you stop trying to control what you can't, you free your energy for what you can. That's the beginning of Stoic resilience. Imagine waking tomorrow with this simple clarity. You can't control what the world gives you, but you can control how you meet it. If the day brings chaos, you bring calm. If the day brings cruelty, you bring kindness. If the day brings loss, you bring acceptance. Because resilience isn't about winning every battle. It's about staying centered no matter how many you lose. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. We waste it on worry, on fear, on trying to bend life to our will. But life doesn't obey us, it flows, and the wise learn to flow with it." That's why Stoicism begins each morning with reflection, a quiet rehearsal of reality. When Marcus Aurelius woke, he didn't rush to his throne. He sat in silence and reminded himself, "Today, I will meet people who are selfish, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, jealous, and rude. But they are like this because they do not know good from evil." He didn't say it to be cynical. He said it to stay prepared, to remind himself that peace requires expectation. If you expect life to be easy, you'll always be disappointed. If you expect it to test you, you'll always be ready. That's the first Stoic daily habit, morning mental preparation. A simple reflection that says, "I will meet hardship today, but I will not let hardship meet me unprepared." Say it quietly before the world begins, because the moment you wake consciously, you've already begun to win the day. The second habit of the Stoic is negative visualization, imagining loss, not to suffer, but to strengthen gratitude. It's a strange practice to modern minds. We're taught to chase comfort, not confront fragility. But the Stoics believed that by imagining loss, we learn to love more deeply. Seneca advised, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." So before you sleep tonight, imagine losing what you take for granted, your health, your family, your peace. Not to invite tragedy, but to awaken appreciation. When you open your eyes in the morning, you'll see everything differently. The ordinary becomes sacred. The small joys, the sound of rain, the taste of food, the smile of a stranger, become proof of life's fragile beauty. That's not pessimism. That's awakening. The third daily habit is voluntary discomfort, to occasionally step into challenge before life forces you to. Seneca once wore rough clothes and ate simple food for several days, asking himself, "Is this the condition that I feared?" He discovered that most of our fears are illusions. We think we can't live without comfort, but it's comfort that makes us weak. Try something uncomfortable. Wake before dawn. Take a cold shower. Skip a meal. Walk in silence. Not to punish yourself, but to prove that your happiness doesn't depend on luxury. Every time you practice discomfort, you rehearse resilience. You teach your mind that you can endure more than you think, because one day, life will strip comfort from you. And only those who've trained the soul will stand firm. The fourth habit is the pause, the sacred space between reaction and response. When someone insults you, when plans fall apart, when emotion surges, pause, just one breath. Inhale clarity, exhale control. In that small space, the Stoics found freedom. They called it the citadel within, a quiet fortress untouched by the world. Marcus wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." When you pause, you remember, no one can make you angry unless you permit it. No one can break your peace unless you hand it to them. The pause turns chaos into choice, and choice is power. Finally, the Stoic ends the day with evening reflection. As night falls, Seneca would ask himself, "What bad habit have I conquered today? What temptation have I resisted? In what way have I become better?" He didn't judge himself. He learned from himself. Resilience is not perfection, it's awareness. It's seeing your own weakness clearly, without shame, without denial, and turning it into strength through patience. Each night, ask yourself 3 simple questions. What went well today? What challenged me? What will I do better tomorrow? That's how resilience grows. Not in grand victories, but in quiet self-honesty repeated daily. The Stoic day begins with awareness and ends with reflection. It faces reality without illusion and meets hardship without fear. And when practiced daily, something extraordinary happens. The storms of life still come, but you stop fighting them. You start moving through them, and you realize you were never the storm. You were always the sky. There is a quiet moment in every storm, a pause between thunder and silence, where you realize that the only thing you truly control is yourself. The Stoics call this the foundation of peace, the discipline of control. It is the power to say, "This is mine to command," and this is not. It's the art of drawing a clear line between your will and the world, because most people live the other way around. They fight for control over everything except themselves. They chase outcomes, not effort. They demand perfection from a universe built on chaos, and then they wonder why they feel powerless. But power isn't in domination. It's in discipline. It's in the quiet mastery of your inner world. Epictetus was born a slave. His master broke his leg, left him crippled for life. But even in pain, he smiled and said, "You can chain my body, but not my mind." That's not defiance, that's freedom. He understood something profound. If you control your reactions, you control your experience. If you control your experience, you control your peace. No tyrant can touch that. No failure can erase that. No loss can steal that. The discipline of control begins with one daily truth. I will focus only on what depends on me. Say it to yourself each morning before the noise of the world begins. Because the world will try to steal your focus with worries, comparisons, and distractions. But focus is your gatekeeper. If you guard it, you stay centered. If you lose it, you scatter your power across things you can never change. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire on earth, yet he constantly reminded himself, don't be upset by things that happen. They happen to everyone. He didn't control wars, disease, betrayal, or death. But he controlled his conduct, his perception, his choices. He led not by force, but by steadiness. He realized something we often forget. Control isn't about bending the world to your will. It's about aligning your will with the truth of the world. To practice the discipline of control, start with 3 questions. Can I change this? If I can, what's the smallest action I can take now? If I can't, can I accept it with grace? That's all. You act where you can and release what you can't. You can't control the weather, but you can control your attitude. You can't control how people treat you, but you can control how you respond. You can't control the outcome, but you can control your effort, and in that effort lies peace. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He was right. Most of our suffering comes not from events, but from how we interpret them. From the stories we tell ourselves about loss, rejection, or failure. We imagine the worst, we replay it, we magnify it, and our mind becomes our own tormentor. The Stoic learns to rewrite those stories, to stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "How can I use this?" Because every challenge is a teacher. Every hardship carries a lesson. Every failure refines your focus. When you control your interpretation, you turn pain into progress. This is not denial, it's transformation. A Stoic doesn't pretend everything is fine. They simply refuse to be ruled by despair. When you face loss, you can mourn, but not collapse. When you face insult, you can feel anger, but not become it. When you face uncertainty, you can feel fear, but still move forward with courage. Control doesn't mean numbness, it means balance. It means feeling deeply, yet acting wisely. Seneca practiced this balance every day. He was a statesman surrounded by corruption and envy, a philosopher living among those who mocked wisdom. Yet he kept his calm. In one of his letters, he wrote, "The wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." That's not resignation, it's resilience. Because when you stop wishing the world were different, you start living fully in the one that exists. To live with the discipline of control is to live light. You stop carrying the burden of what if. You stop being a prisoner of other people's behavior. You stop giving your peace away to the uncontrollable. You begin to see that life doesn't owe you comfort, but it offers you something better. The chance to grow. And that's the secret of Stoic power. It's not about what happens. It's about what you become through what happens. The world will always move unpredictably, but the Stoic moves with it. Graceful as water, firm as stone. That's why Marcus wrote, "Adapt yourself to the life you have been given, and truly love the people with whom destiny has surrounded you, because the one who adapts survives. The one who resists reality breaks." The discipline of control is not about tightening your grip, it's about loosening it. It's about trusting that life doesn't need to bend for you to find peace. You simply need to bend with life. Each morning, remind yourself, I control my choices, not outcomes. I control my mind, not events. I control my character, not the opinions of others. And when you live this way, you'll find a strange stillness in the middle of chaos, a peace that doesn't depend on fortune, a freedom that no power can take away. That is the discipline of control, and it's the second pillar of Stoic resilience. The same event can break one person and build another. The same storm can destroy one ship and strengthen another's sails. The difference isn't in the storm, it's in the perspective. Perspective is the lens through which you experience life. It's not what happens that determines your peace, it's how you see it. And that is the third Stoic discipline, the practice of perspective. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, plague, and loss. He could have called it misfortune, but instead he called it training. He saw every hardship not as punishment but as preparation. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Those words became immortal because they contain the essence of resilience itself. Every obstacle, if seen rightly, becomes an opportunity. Every difficulty, a test of growth. Every pain, a teacher in disguise. That's perspective. The ability to shift from why me to for what purpose, from I'm cursed to I'm being strengthened. Epictetus taught this to his students with a simple analogy. Imagine you're an actor in a play. You don't choose the role. That's given by fate. You might be cast as a beggar, a ruler, a soldier, or a slave. But your duty isn't to choose the script. It's to play your role with excellence, he said. Remember that you are an actor in a drama of such sort as the author chooses. If short, then in a short one. If long, then in a long one. If it be his pleasure you should act a poor man, or a cripple, or a ruler, see that you act it well. That's the Stoic way of seeing life, not as something happening to you, but through you. You are not the victim of your story. You are the vessel through which your story reveals strength. Perspective transforms chaos into clarity. It allows you to see beyond the surface, to look at pain not as punishment, but as purification. Seneca said it best. Fire tests gold. Adversity tests the brave. So when life burns you, don't ask for the flame to stop. Ask yourself, what part of me is being refined? That question changes everything. The Stoics practiced this shift in perspective daily. They called it the view from above, a meditation that lifted the mind beyond the smallness of self. Marcus Aurelius often imagined himself floating above the earth, looking down on cities, armies, and people rushing through life. From that height, he saw the truth. How small our troubles are, how fleeting our ambitions, how brief our time. When you look at life from above, your ego dissolves, your anger fades, and your problems shrink to their real size. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start seeing this is happening, as it always has, to everyone. Perspective frees you from personal drama. It teaches you humility. It teaches you gratitude. Try it. When you feel overwhelmed, close your eyes and imagine rising above your situation. See yourself, the room you're in, the city, the world. Billions of people living, struggling, breathing, each carrying their own invisible burdens. And then realize You're not alone in your pain. You're part of the human story, a single heartbeat in the rhythm of the universe. Suddenly, your fear feels smaller, your suffering feels shared, and your perspective expands. The Stoics also practiced perspective through language, how they named their experiences. When something bad happened, they didn't say, "This is terrible." They said, "This is unfortunate, but not unbearable." Or even, "This is useful." They refused to give events more power than they deserved. Because words shape perception, and perception shapes reality. So when you face hardship, don't say, "I can't handle this." Say, "This is difficult, but I can learn from it." That small shift rewires your mind from victimhood to victory. Epictetus told his students, "When something happens, the only thing in your power is your opinion of it." Think about that. Events are neutral. It's our judgment that makes them good or bad. The Stoic trains the mind to delay judgment, to pause before labeling anything a curse. Because often what looks like loss becomes liberation. What looks like failure becomes foundation. What looks like an ending becomes awakening. Seneca once said, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom isn't an accident, it's a choice." And perspective is that choice repeated daily. It's waking up and asking, how can I see this differently? How can I use this moment to practice virtue? How can I rise instead of react? This isn't denial of pain, it's direction through pain. The Stoic doesn't escape emotion. They educate it. They learn to see anger as a teacher of patience, fear as a reminder of courage, and loss as proof of impermanence. The practice of perspective also means seeing time differently. Most people live in fragments, regretting the past, fearing the future, and missing the only thing that truly exists, the present. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, because the present moment is all you ever control. The past is gone, the future is a concept, but the present is the arena of your power. Right now, you can choose how to think, how to speak, how to act. Right now, you can practice resilience. Right now, you can be free." Perspective turns time itself into a teacher. It reminds you that everything is temporary. Pain, pleasure, success, failure, even life itself. And when you understand impermanence, you stop clinging. You stop fearing loss because you see that nothing was truly yours to begin with. You begin to live with grace, appreciating every moment, but not being enslaved by any of them. Imagine if every human lived this way, grateful, detached, wise, aware. How different would the world be? How peaceful would our hearts become? Perspective doesn't just heal individuals, it heals humanity. Because when you see clearly, you stop judging quickly. When you see widely, you stop fighting narrowly. When you see deeply, you stop fearing shallow things. And so the Stoic practices this every day to rise above ego, to reframe every hardship, to replace complaint with curiosity, to remind themselves that life isn't happening against them. It's happening for them. Every sunrise is a gift. Every failure is feedback. Every struggle is sculpting the soul. That is perspective. Not seeing less, but seeing more clearly, more calmly, more completely. Because when you master perspective, you stop seeing yourself as fragile. You start seeing yourself as forged. You stop asking for easy days and start asking for strength to meet hard ones. And when that shift happens, you become what the Stoics called anti-fragile, a soul that grows stronger through challenge. That's not fantasy. That's discipline. That's perspective. And that is the third pillar of resilience. Comfort is a slow poison. It numbs your edge. It dulls your instincts. It whispers, "You're safe," while quietly stealing your strength. The Stoics understood this danger. They saw comfort not as a reward but as a test, a silent trap that lures the soul into weakness. That's why they practiced something almost no one does today, voluntary hardship. To live well, they said, you must sometimes live hard. Not because pain is good, but because avoiding it makes you fragile. Seneca wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress," saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" He didn't do this for punishment. He did it for power, to remind himself that he could lose everything and still be whole, because when you choose discomfort, you take fear's weapon away. When you face what you dread, hunger, cold, rejection, loss, you realize that it cannot destroy you, and that realization makes you free. Freedom is not found in luxury. It's found in self-command. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of Rome. He had gold, servants, and power beyond measure, yet he practiced simplicity, eating coarse bread, sleeping on the floor, walking among soldiers. He didn't do it for show. He did it to stay grounded, to stay human, because power without discipline breeds decay. Comfort without contrast breeds blindness. So he trained himself daily to remember, what matters isn't what you possess, but what you can endure. Epictetus, born a slave, took this idea even further. He said, "If you wish to be invincible, then do not enter into combat where you cannot control the outcome." He meant, master yourself, not your circumstances. You can't choose your hardships, but you can choose to be prepared for them, and that preparation happens in small daily choices. When you wake up early instead of sleeping in, when you take a cold shower instead of warm comfort, when you delay pleasure and choose purpose, each act of chosen difficulty builds invisible armor. Voluntary hardship isn't about self-punishment. It's about self-possession. It's about remembering that happiness isn't comfort, it's control. When you train the body to endure cold, you train the mind to endure chaos. When you deny a craving, you strengthen command over desire. When you choose silence instead of argument, you master anger. Each small act of restraint expands your inner freedom. Seneca warned his students that wealth and ease make the soul sick. He said, "Softness comes from luxury. Vigor comes from labor." He believed that without friction, the spirit forgets how to fight. That's why he urged people to occasionally live as if they had lost everything, to wear simple clothes, eat plain food and sleep on the ground, not to suffer, but to remember. You can survive without the things you think you need. And when you know that, you can face anything. The Stoics practiced this discipline in their own way. Marcus Aurelius would endure harsh winters with soldiers. Cato walked barefoot through the streets of Rome, refusing luxury. Epictetus slept on a straw mat. They weren't proving strength to others. They were proving strength to themselves. They knew the truth. A person who fears hardship is already enslaved by it. But a person who embraces it becomes unbreakable. In our modern world, we've traded voluntary hardship for constant ease. Instant gratification has replaced patience. Screens have replaced silence. Comfort has replaced courage. We avoid every discomfort, and emotional, physical, spiritual. We call it self-care, but often it's self-avoidance. The Stoic way is different. It says, don't run from difficulty. Meet it on your terms, because every time you choose the harder path, you expand your capacity to live. Imagine two lives, one built on convenience, always seeking the soft, the easy, the comfortable. The other built on intention, occasionally walking barefoot on the stones of life, choosing challenge as a teacher. Which one do you think lasts longer? Which one truly lives deeper? The Stoic knew the answer. Ease is temporary. Strength is forever. Voluntary hardship isn't grand. It's quiet. It's skipping that unnecessary indulgence. It's holding your tongue when insulted. It's doing what's right, not what's easy. It's saying no when everything in you wants to say yes. It's staying calm when the world burns around you. These are the silent battles that build resilience. No one sees them, but they shape everything. Seneca called these small disciplines rehearsals for misfortune, because when real hardship comes, and it always does, you won't be shocked. You'll be ready. He said, "He who has learned how to suffer has unlearned how to be a slave." That's the power of voluntary hardship. It doesn't just strengthen you, it liberates you. You begin to see life differently. You stop asking for comfort. You start asking for clarity. You stop fearing pain. You start fearing wasted potential because the Stoic knows nothing destroys a person more than unused strength. So practice the art of difficulty. Walk instead of ride, fast for a day, take a cold shower, speak less, complain never, do something small each day that reminds your mind who's in charge, not your cravings, not your fears, you, because resilience isn't built in comfort, it's carved through challenge. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Voluntary hardship gives you that power. It shows you that pain is not an enemy, it's a mirror. It reveals your limits, so you can transcend them. And when you live this way long enough, you realize that the true luxury isn't comfort, it's character, the ability to stay calm under pressure, to remain kind under stress, to keep purpose when everything seems pointless. That's the strength of a Stoic. Not in what they possess, but in what they can endure, and still love life anyway, because life will always bring involuntary hardship. Loss, failure, heartbreak, injustice. You cannot choose them, but you can choose to be trained for them. Voluntary hardship is that training. It's the gym of the soul, and the more you step into it, the less the world can break you. So today, ask yourself, when was the last time I did something difficult on purpose? When was the last time I chose growth over comfort? Every time you do, you're building invisible strength. You're preparing for life's inevitable storms. You're reclaiming control, because resilience isn't built in crisis. It's built in quiet moments of choice. And that choice is yours. What truly defines a person is not what happens to them, but how they respond. Every moment in life gives you two choices: to react like fire or to respond like stone. One burns uncontrollably, the other stands still, unshaken. That is the heart of Stoic resilience, emotional mastery, the discipline of reaction. The Stoics never said emotions are wrong. They said emotions are messengers, not masters. Anger tells you something feels unjust. Fear warns you of danger. Sadness reveals what you value. But when you let those emotions rule your judgment, you lose your peace. And when you lose peace, you lose yourself. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That single truth separates the free from the enslaved. Most people live like slaves to their emotions. They lash out when insulted, collapse when criticized, panic when uncertain. But the Stoic? They pause. They create space between the event and the emotion, between stimulus and response. That space is power. That pause is freedom. Marcus Aurelius, in the chaos of war and politics, wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He was reminding himself not to be the puppet of passion, because no one can make you angry, afraid, or bitter without your permission. It is your judgment that gives emotion its sting. If you remove that judgment, the emotion loses control. The Stoic doesn't suppress emotion. They see through it. They observe it, understand it, and choose how to use it. When anger arises, they ask, "What exactly am I angry about? Is it under my control?" If not, they release it. When fear whispers, they ask, "What am I afraid of losing? And can I still be whole without it?" And often, the answer is yes. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." How many times have you replayed a scenario in your mind, an insult, a fear, a regret, and felt pain that no longer exists? That's the prison of emotion, when you keep reliving what should have been released. The Stoic trains to stop that loop. To say, "This moment is gone," it has no power now. That is mastery. Anger is one of the Stoics' greatest teachers, because anger blinds reason faster than any poison. Seneca called anger a temporary madness. He said, "No plague has cost the human race more. Anger destroys families." nations, friendships, and peace of mind. And yet most people feed it daily. The Stoic doesn't deny anger. They examine it not until it dissolves. They ask, what is this anger protecting? Can I act with strength without acting with rage? Because true strength doesn't shout, it stands firm. When insulted, Epictetus would simply smile and say, "You've mistaken me for someone else." He understood that offense requires cooperation. If you refuse to be offended, the insult dies. That's the discipline of reaction, the art of remaining untouchable by the chaos of others. The Stoics trained this every day through premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. They would imagine the worst that could happen: insults, loss, betrayal, sickness, even death. Not to despair, but to prepare. Because once the mind has faced every possibility, the unexpected loses its power. When you expect nothing, you can appreciate everything. When you prepare for loss, you can love without fear. That is emotional resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When another does wrong, the harm is to himself. He has corrupted his own character, not mine." He was reminding himself that people act from ignorance, not evil. Their actions are reflections of their own turmoil, not your worth. And when you truly understand that, forgiveness becomes effortless. You stop reacting and start understanding. The Stoic also practices equanimity, a calm steadiness no matter what occurs. Imagine a great ocean. Waves crash on the surface, storms roar above, but deep below, stillness. That depth is the Stoic mind. Unmoved by external noise, equanimity is not coldness, it's clarity. It's feeling emotion without being owned by it. It's caring deeply but calmly. It's loving life without being destroyed by its losses. When tragedy comes, the Stoic does not say, "Why me?" They say, "Why not me?" They accept that suffering is part of the human experience. To resist it only multiplies pain. To accept it transforms it. Seneca said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." But then he smiled and lived on with purpose. Because wisdom is not the absence of sadness. It's the understanding that sadness, too, can serve the soul. The discipline of reaction also applies to joy. Most people chase excitement, but the Stoic seeks contentment, because pleasure that depends on circumstance is fragile, but joy that depends on character endures. So when good fortune arrives, the Stoic enjoys it with gratitude, but never with attachment. They say, "This too will pass. And when it does, I will still be me." That's real peace, joy without addiction, love without fear. Emotional mastery doesn't happen overnight. It's built, one pause at a time, one deep breath before reacting, one moment of awareness before speaking. You start noticing emotions rise, and instead of being swept away, you watch them pass. They come like waves. They leave like waves, and you remain, the calm beneath it all. Epictetus said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. No one can control your peace unless you hand it over. So reclaim it. Hold your emotions like a warrior holds his sword, with strength, with control, with purpose. Use them, but never be used by them. Every moment is a test of your discipline of reaction. When someone cuts you off, when plans fall apart, when you're criticized unjustly, those are your training grounds. Each test is a chance to prove mastery. Not to others, but to yourself. You can't control people. You can't control fate. But you can always control your response, and that's enough. Because the greatest power in life is not dominance over others, but dominance over yourself. When you can look at chaos and stay composed, when you can face cruelty and remain kind, when you can meet pain and stay present, you've already won. The Stoic called this inner fortress apatheia, not indifference, but unshakable peace. A mind beyond turmoil, a soul beyond reaction. So, when the world tests you, pause. When anger rises, breathe. When fear whispers, question it. When joy arrives, be grateful but grounded. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf them. You can't silence the storm, but you can learn to stand still within it. That is emotional mastery. That is resilience. That is freedom. The Stoics understood something modern life has almost forgotten. Happiness doesn't come from getting more. It comes from remembering what you already have. Gratitude was not a luxury to them. It was a discipline, a daily practice that anchored the mind to what is real and freed the soul from what is missing, because the human mind, left untrained, always looks forward to the next achievement, the next possession, the next validation. But the Stoic trains it to look around, to notice what's already enough. Marcus Aurelius began and ended each day in reflection. He would wake before dawn and remind himself, "Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, arrogance, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness." And then he would say, "Yet none of them can harm me." At night, he would sit in silence and review the day, not with guilt, but with honesty. What did I do well? What did I fail to do? What can I learn before the next sunrise? That was his ritual of reflection, his way of keeping his soul awake. Seneca called this nightly review the soul's audit. He wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. I hide nothing from myself. I pass nothing by." He didn't reflect to punish himself. He reflected to improve. Because reflection without self-compassion breeds shame, but reflection with honesty breeds growth. The Stoics saw reflection as medicine for the mind. Because every day we absorb countless impressions, words, worries, noise, distractions. Without reflection, those impressions control us. With reflection, we control them. It's how the Stoic cleanses the day, by examining it, learning from it, and letting it go, so that each morning they rise lighter. Gratitude, too, was a form of daily armor. It protected the mind from envy, fear, and despair. Epictetus told his students, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." To him, gratitude wasn't an emotion, it was a way of seeing, because no matter how little you have, you can always find something worth thanking the universe for. Your breath, your mind, your ability to think, to love, to grow. And in that moment, you become rich beyond measure. Modern life confuses gratitude with comfort, but Stoic gratitude thrives even in discomfort. It's easy to be grateful when things are good. It's wisdom to be grateful when things are hard. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." He wrote this while leading armies through plague, loss, and betrayal. And still, he was grateful, because he understood that life itself, even when painful, is the greatest gift of all. Gratitude transforms pain into perspective. It doesn't erase suffering, it redeems it. When you learn to thank life even for the difficult days, you stop being a prisoner of circumstance. You become a student of existence. The Stoics practiced this by reflecting on mortality, not to be morbid, but to remember that every day is borrowed. They called it memento mori, remember you must die. Not as a curse, but as a reminder to live fully now. Seneca said, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." To him, gratitude wasn't a fleeting emotion. It was the foundation of wisdom. Because once you accept that nothing is guaranteed, every moment becomes sacred. Every breath becomes a miracle. Every person you love becomes a gift. The Stoic ends each day asking, "What did I learn? What did I love? What can I let go of?" 3 simple questions, but within them, the secret to peace. Learning gives growth. Loving gives purpose. Letting go gives freedom. Together, they make the mind untouchable. Epictetus taught his students to reflect not on fortune, but on virtue. He asked, "Did I live according to reason today? Did I act justly, courageously, temperately, wisely? Because the Stoic measures success not by wealth or applause, but by character. At the end of the day, you can lose everything external and still keep your virtue. That to the Stoic is victory. Gratitude also trains perception. It teaches the mind to see beauty in simplicity. The Stoics admired nature, the rising sun, the flow of rivers, the silence of stars. They saw in them the order and calm of the cosmos. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them." That wasn't poetry, but it was philosophy. He was training his mind to focus on harmony, not chaos. Because gratitude begins where attention rests. If you constantly focus on what's wrong, your mind becomes a garden of weeds. But if you train it to notice what's right, you cultivate strength, hope, and peace. Gratitude doesn't deny darkness. It simply refuses to live there. The Stoic faces reality fully, but chooses where to place his gaze, and he chooses the light. Reflection, on the other hand, is how gratitude deepens into wisdom. Without reflection, gratitude fades into habit. With reflection, it becomes philosophy. You begin to see patterns, how every failure taught you something essential, how every rejection redirected you, how every pain revealed a deeper power. That's when life stops feeling random. It starts feeling meaningful, because through reflection, you discover that everything, even the worst moments, were preparing you for who you are now. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Reflection turns adversity into proof. Proof of growth, proof of endurance, proof of strength, and gratitude transforms that proof into peace. So, each day, take time to sit with yourself. Turn off the noise. Look within. Ask the hard questions. Forgive your failures. Thank your trials. Don't rush. Don't judge. Just witness. Because the greatest conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with your own soul. You'll begin to notice how much of life you were missing, how much good was hidden behind impatience, how many blessings were disguised as burdens. Gratitude opens your eyes. Reflection opens your heart. Together, they open your soul. The Stoics knew this, that peace is not found in the world outside, but in the understanding within. And that understanding grows only through stillness, honesty, and humility. You don't need to control life to love it. You just need to notice it, to breathe in its impermanence, to thank it for its lessons, to learn, again and again, how to let go. Because the Stoic's goal is not to escape life, but to embrace it fully, with wisdom, with courage, with gratitude for every fleeting second. And when you do that, you discover the quiet truth they all lived by, that resilience isn't about surviving the storm. It's about seeing the rain and whispering, "Thank you." All the lessons, practices, and disciplines we've explored lead to one ultimate truth. Resilience is not built in isolation. It is forged through daily choices, deliberate habits, and the courage to confront life as it is, not as you wish it to be. Stoicism is not a philosophy for idle minds. It is a call to action, a challenge, a path to becoming unshakable. To live as a Stoic is to live intentionally. Each thought, each action, each reaction becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your character. You no longer let circumstances dictate your peace. You no longer hand over your power to fear, anger, or desire. Instead, you inhabit your life fully, with awareness, with courage, with wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, amidst wars and plague, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This is the essence of Stoicism. It is not theoretical. It is practical. It is lived. You practice virtue because it strengthens you, not to earn praise. You practice gratitude because it frees you, not to appear grateful. You practice hardship because it empowers you, not to prove anything to anyone. All these practices converge to one ultimate outcome, the unshakable self. The unshakable self does not depend on fortune. It is unaffected by praise or criticism. It is calm in triumph, serene in disaster. It knows that everything external is fleeting, but character and virtue is eternal. Epictetus said, "No man is free unless he is master of himself." Mastery of self is mastery of life. Imagine waking each day with clarity, knowing exactly what you can control: your mind, your actions, your intentions. Imagine meeting chaos with calm, fear with courage, loss with equanimity. Imagine walking through the world without giving away your peace, without surrendering your strength. That is the Stoic life. That is resilience embodied. To become this person, you integrate the 7 pillars we've explored. Daily awareness of control, focusing only on what depends on you. The practice of perspective, seeing life from above. Recognizing impermanence, reframing obstacles. Voluntary hardship, training the body and mind to endure difficulty willingly. Emotional mastery, pausing before reacting. Observing emotions without being enslaved by them. Gratitude and reflection, daily acknowledgement of what is valuable, and honest evaluation of your own actions. Purposeful action, acting in accordance with reason. Virtue and the greater good, acceptance of life, embracing mortality, uncertainty, and change without surrendering peace. Each pillar reinforces the others. Each habit strengthens the foundation of your inner fortress. And over time, a transformation occurs. You stop being tossed around by circumstance. You stop seeking external validation. You stop fearing failure. You begin to stand firmly in the center of your own mind. The Stoics often reminded themselves, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Obstacles are not interruptions to your life. They are life itself. They are the raw material for building strength, wisdom, and character. When you meet obstacles with courage, patience, and reason, they do not crush you. They sculpt you. The unshakable self also understands impermanence. Everything external, wealth, status, relationships, even health, is temporary. By recognizing this, the Stoic no longer clings. By releasing attachment, they gain freedom. By embracing loss as inevitable, they cultivate peace. Death is not feared, for life is measured not in years, but in virtue. Suffering is not resented, for it carries the seed of growth. Courage becomes second nature. Patience becomes instinct. Justice becomes default. Temperance becomes effortless. Wisdom becomes your lens. These are not just ideals, they are habits, honed daily. They are muscles strengthened through reflection, challenge, and intention. To live stoically is to embrace reality fully, without complaint, without delusion, without despair. It is to see life clearly, act rightly, and let the consequences fall where they may. You wake each morning, not wishing for an easy day, but ready for whatever comes. Knowing your character is your shield, you meet human imperfection with understanding. You meet natural events with acceptance. You meet yourself with honesty, and in that alignment, you find freedom. Imagine a life where nothing external can unbalance you, where joy does not depend on fortune, anger does not depend on insult, fear does not depend on circumstance. Imagine a life where your inner world is strong enough to carry any storm. This is not fantasy. This is Stoicism. This is resilience. The unshakable self is not born. It is forged through daily practice, intentional habits, reflection, and discipline. Through gratitude, voluntary hardship, emotional mastery, and acceptance. It is the result of a life fully owned, a mind fully trained, a soul fully awake. Seneca wrote, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." This is the call, to live as though each moment matters, to act as though your character is your only true possession, to build, daily, the strength no one can take from you. Because in the end, the world will do what it will. Fortune will rise and fall. People will praise and betray. Life will bring suffering and joy in equal measure. But if you have built your inner fortress, if you have mastered your mind and habits, you will remain unshakable. You will remain calm. You will remain courageous. You will remain free, and that is the Stoic life. That is the pinnacle of resilience. That is the unshakable self. So rise each day with intention. Face every challenge with clarity. Reflect on every action with honesty. Practice gratitude. Embrace hardship. Master your reactions. And live in alignment with virtue. Do this, and nothing in the world can break you. Because the Stoic knows, true freedom is internal. True strength is daily, and the unshakable self is eternal.